Hey guys, welcome to another quick motiongraphicstock.com tutorial. My name is Jesse and I'm going to be going over a quick tutorial about how you can import and add light leaks, light effects. Not really light leaks, more or less light distortions, actually real lens bokeh effects and reflections off of the glass of recording video, as well as real sunlight effects that you can overlay on top of your footage to give it some really unique looks. So you can take an average piece of footage and add something more to it. So I'm going to be doing this in After Effects. You can also do the same in Final Cut, Premiere, anything that you can change the blending mode or the transfer mode to screen or add to remove the black. So what I mean is, all of these clips are rendered on a black background. So what you're doing is you're removing the black, you're blending it into the actual footage. And I always use and recommend add, but it also depends on the type of footage you're using, because it really brightens it up. It really, enhances the color. If I put all of these to add, it might be a little much. So you might want to turn one or two, maybe to screen, classic color dodge. You can play around with it and just kind of, mix and match, as well as change the curves. So you can blend each into each other. So if I just turn these two on, this is a simple light distortion where you can see the light moving across the screen. Now that one's on classic. Let's say we go to add. Then you can tweak the curves or any color setting in your video editor. And I have the tint set to a particular color that I want. I can set it to blue, pink, purple, green. It all depends on the look you're going for. Now, all of these effects are found at motiongraphicstock.com. And they are actually located under Special Effects, Overlay Effects, or you can simply search light effects, light leaks, lens effects, lens overlays, and you'll find all of these. Now they are all rendered on white, white on black, and that allows you to actually blend them into your footage better. They really work well with black and white footage. And allows you to change the color by actually putting a tint or a hue over top of them and changing them to match your footage. So what I'm going to do here is create a new comp. We'll call it Tester. And I'm going to leave it at 1920, 1080. You can leave it any size you want, 25, whatever your frame rate is for your footage or your end result. The actual filmed footage, the light distortions, are at 30 frames per second or 29.9. So we can drag a couple of these. Actually, you know what? First, we're going to bring in our sample footage. Now, it all depends on the type. Now, you'll see a logo here. I'm using some sample footage from Film Supply, which is a great resource. A lot of nice slow-mo shots, but you can use this on any footage that you have. Images as well. Images will work really good. So see, at this point here, you'll notice it's a nice shot. There's some light coming in, but there's no added flare. So when the camera pans around her at this point, I would kind of like a little bit of flare. You can see a little bit in the sky there, but you kind of want a little bit more just before it comes around to her. And then you want nothing there at that point. And then the focus is on the subject. You do not, I want to emphasize, you do not want to overdo any light effects, leaks, color, anything like that. It'll just ruin your shot. I see a lot of people that will put lens flares up like crazy and light leaks and blend over the footage and not know what they're doing. They just pump it out there like crazy and it just ruins the shot. You want to make sure you fade in, fade off, use them appropriately. Otherwise, it's just not going to look good. So what I'm going to do, let's just bring in, now I brought all of my lens distortions, there's 14 of them here, and you can view them all. I'm just going to bring a couple in. And this is only for the tutorial, just the example. You know, that one could work. I kind of want one where it's on the left side. I think I know 6 might work. That's a nice big one. Okay, I'm going to hide that. Alright, number 1 actually has some nice light on the right side. Or it doesn't matter what side, I can always reverse the footage and flip it over. But it's got quite a bit on one side, which is what I want. So let's bring that in. I'm just going to turn this down a bit. We're going to change it to screen. Oops. Turn the other one off. So now we have our footage. Now right here I'm holding Option or Alt, so I can scrub through the playhead and view the footage at the same time. Now you want to move slow, depends on how much RAM you have on your computer. Otherwise it's going to be choppy. And you can also grab your other clip, hold down Option or Alt, and slowly scrub through and see how it's going to animate. So you know at this point I want it to be right here at this point. So you know that it's going to animate in and slowly come in at that point. Now I mean, this doesn't look the greatest right now. I'm also on a third of the quality, but this is where you need to adjust your color, the curves, the corrections. I always recommend playing with the curves, hue and saturation, or tint if you want to change the color. I can use tint to change it. You can play with the levels, you can play with, it depends on your software. There's, depending on what you have the ability to change, I guess. But you definitely want to play around with it. And that'll give you, and you want to match it to your footage. So I can darken it out a bit, so you can crush it a little bit, and that's maybe too much. Change the tint to, maybe we'll go soft blue. Maybe even softer. And you can also change the transparency a little bit. So it's a little more subtle. And to change these on the fly like this, I'm holding down again the Option or Alt key. Option for Mac, Alt for PC. So when I take this, bottom of the curves, I'm crushing out all the darks and leaving the light. That's bringing in the light. See? So you do not want to do it too much. Just a little bit. A little bit goes a long way. So. Now at this point, I also maybe want to have a sunlight reflect across the screen as well. At the same point that that piece of light comes in on the footage. I think this is a little too. So what we can do is go back in and bring in some sunlight. Maybe a soft afternoon sun. This is also found on motiongraphicstock.com. I'm going to change to screen. We'll try add. It's not too bad. Now, if I think it's a little too much, I'll go into my colors. And you can take down the lightness just a little bit. So you can still see the rainbow and the actual light particle reflection. Now, See how it just all of a sudden comes in like that. If you don't want it at the start of the clip, you have to fade it in. So I'm just going to drop it to 0, hit a keyframe, move in, keyframe, 100%. And then it fades in at the point when the camera pans over the mountains and the sun comes in. And that's when the reflections start as the camera's moving. You don't ever really want to use these if the camera's not really moving around, there's no action shots, there's no, if it's a still, it can still look good, but it really works best with panning shots and, camera movement. So let's see how this looks. And you can also play around with the timing to make the actual distortions come on at a different time. Maybe that would have been better to come on right here where there's the most light, and then it blends into the color. And you can also change it to maybe a different distortion. So let's have it come in at this point. We're going to drag it out a little bit more. And maybe instead of screen, let's turn it to add. Change the tint to more of a yellow, because that's what the sunlight is. And then we're going to turn the hue and saturation, the lightness, down a little bit. And the yellow can kind of match the sunlight. So the idea is that these lens distortions, the light effects here, is light coming through the camera. So, and if you're filming indoors, you can reflect it to pretty much anything. Outdoors, you can reflect it to the sun, you can reflect it to any color. I can make this purple if I wanted to match a shot. Say it's a wedding photo and you want some pink on it, you want some purple, green, whatever, it doesn't matter. As long as you think it looks good and it matches, then it works. I'll show you another example here where there's an indoor shot. I think that's outside. Actually, here's a good one. That's someone sketching. Now, there's no light whatsoever. So it's just a dull shot. Alright, it looks okay. You can do some color correction, add some light, maybe some darkness to it, and crush the blacks. You can only go so far. So let's bring something in here. Let's put it to screen to start. And what I'm going to do, actually turn this off. I'm going to take the background footage. Go to my color correction. And just as a test, I'm going to take the saturation down to 0. Turn the lightness down a little bit. Let's go 10. 10. Now the clip above, I'm going to put to add. And see how let's see how it blends in to the background. Now instantly you created a new piece of footage. That we'd use the brightness of the distortions to blend into this. At that point, boom, and then you have this piece of footage come in. All that light that wasn't there before. If you want to add color, put the color back in. Let's put a tint. Map the white because this whole clip, the distortions are all white, so you can map that color to anything you want. Purple is one of my favorite colors. So. Now again, I'm on add, so it's going to be very bright. You can turn it down. Now I can also go in again if I want to leave it on add, so the brights are very bright and the darks I don't want. So I'm messing with curves. And again, you tweak it so you can add some subtlety to it. So it's not so in your face, like that looks terrible. You want it to be very subtle, but still visible. So that huge, lens, that's a texture right there off of a camera. You see it, but you don't really see it. And that also looks good in black and white. Maybe with the color over black and white. Maybe not. But anyway, you get the idea. So this goes for any of the lens distortions. They're all different. They all will match any shot that you have. I highly recommend you check them out on motiongraphicstock.com. Some are bright, some are great for transitions into footage, some are great for transitioning out of footage, in the middle of footage, around subjects. You have a subject here. You can brighten out the whole end of a shot, as well as the sunlights that we have. I'm going to show you one more example. I hope I'm not wasting your time. Let's bring in something that's this one. So, what was it? Soft blue. Now, these are all colored, but you can, of course, change the color. Again, you bring it in, change the screen. Instantly, it's going to blend into the back of your footage. If you change it to add, it blends into your footage more than screen, more than lighten. And again, I'm in After Effects here, so if you're in Premiere, Final Cut, your transfer modes, they might be different, but they still do add and screen. And you're blending the light into the light. So if you have a really light background like this, you're not going to see a lot of the reflections here. See, the brightness is here. You see a little bit of a, let's put this on full. And it animates just a little bit from the right to the left. And that's where you can go in again, and we can bring up the curves and center, and match it. The curves, hue, saturation. But I just wanted to show you instantly when you drag and drop these on and you change the hue, the saturation, the blending modes, transfer modes, instantly you're going to change your footage. And again, if you just want it for a split second, like at the start, to kind of come on and show some brightness and then fade off, boom, you take transparency, or the clip. Again, I'm just using this in After Effects. Just blend it on, blend it off, and have it fade off. And then you're back to the original footage. There you go. So you blend it on, blend it off. You have to match it to the shot, match it to the footage, blend it into it. Think about blending in, transitioning into it, and then out of it. Some of these clips don't really transition out, so at the end of it, see if I'm at 100% here, it's harsh, it's the whole clip, sunlight, 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 and then all of a sudden nothing. Like, you're gonna notice that. So you have to make sure that you blend it in and out, otherwise you're gonna end up with that. And yeah, I'm done talking for today, so I hope you guys enjoyed this. And check out motiongraphicstock.com for tons of cool stuff and more animations. And you can check it out for free and get some free clips. Cheers.